Hey everyone, so let's talk about Microsoft Azure. It's this massive world of cloud computing, and honestly, it's pretty incredible. But with over 200 different services, it can feel like you're staring at a giant, sprawling map with no idea which way is north.
And that's the million-dollar question, right? Where do you even begin? If you're looking at that list and feeling a little lost, trust me, you are not alone. But stick with me, because today we're going to draw you a map. We'll find a clear path through it all so you can start building things with confidence. All right, let's jump right in.
Okay, first things first. Before we even think about what you're going to build, we need to talk about how you're going to build it. Think of it like this. Every great craftsperson has a toolkit. You've got different tools for different jobs, and knowing which one to grab is really the first step to mastering your craft.
So, in Azure, you've got three main tools in your belt. First up is the visual way, the Azure portal. It's a website, it's graphical, and it's perfect when you're just exploring or you need to do a quick one-off task. Then you've got the command way, using tools like PowerShell or the Azure CLI. This is for when you find yourself doing the same thing over and over and you just want to write a script to automate it. And finally, you have the code way, infrastructure as code. This is the real game changer. You're literally writing code that defines your entire cloud setup, which means you can deploy massive, complex systems perfectly every single time.
You know, this idea is so important in the professional world. A cloud engineer on Reddit put it perfectly. When you use code, everything becomes traceable. It's all about repeatability, so you get the same result every time, and change tracking, so you have a perfect audit trail of who did what and when. It just slashes human error and keeps everything consistent.
All right, so we've covered the how, the tools in your toolkit. Now let's get into the what. What are you actually going to be building with? We're going to start with the absolute fundamentals, the bedrock that pretty much everything else in Azure is built on top of.
At its heart, Azure really comes down to these four pillars. First, you have compute. That's the engine, right? It's the virtual machines or app services that are actually running your code. Then you've got storage, which is exactly what it sounds like, a place for all your digital stuff, whether it's huge video files or shared project folders. Networking is the glue that connects everything together safely and securely. And finally, there's IoT and Edge, which is all about connecting the cloud to physical devices out in the real world, like sensors in a factory or even a connected car.
So once you have those building blocks, the next big question is, how do you assemble everything? I mean, how do you get an application from just an idea in a developer's head all the way to a user's screen reliably and without any drama? Well, that's where this idea of an automated app factory comes in, and it's powered by a suite of tools we call Azure DevOps. This right here is the modern journey of an application, and what's so cool is that Azure has a tool for every single step. It all kicks off with a plan in Azure boards. Then developers get to code in Azure repos or GitHub. Now the magic really happens with Azure Pipelines, which automatically swoops in to build the code, test it for any bugs, and then release it out into the wild for your users. And of course, once it's live, you're not just crossing your fingers. You monitor its health with Azure Monitor to make sure everything's running just right. And what you get, the big payoff for all of this integration, is a single, unbroken, traceable path. You can literally follow a feature from a note on a planning board to the specific lines of code that made it happen, through every automated check, all the way to the live app your customer is using. That kind of visibility is just incredibly powerful.
Okay, building and deploying apps is one thing, but what if you could give your app a brain? This is where things get really cool. Let's look at how Azure lets you weave the magic of artificial intelligence right into your applications. And here's the best part. You don't have to be some PhD-level data scientist to do it.
It's all done through something called Azure Cognitive Services. What Microsoft has done is taken these insanely complex AI models and packaged them up into simple little building blocks. They're organized into these 5 categories that basically mimic human abilities: seeing, speaking, understanding language, making decisions, and searching. You don't build the AI, you just plug it in and use its superpowers. So let's look at a quick example. The speech-to-text service. It can listen to audio and turn it into text with just amazing accuracy in tons of different languages. Just think, you could build an app that takes voice commands or
automatically transcribe all of your customer support calls to find out what people are talking about.
Or what about this one? Language Understanding, or LUIS. This is the secret sauce behind all those smart chatbots you see everywhere. It doesn't just read words, it figures out what the user is actually trying to do, their intent. So if someone types, "Hey, book me a flight to Paris for tomorrow," LUIS is smart enough to pull out the important bits. The action is book a flight, the destination is Paris, and the date is tomorrow.
And look, this isn't just theory or some cool tech demo. We're talking about massive companies using these services to solve really critical problems. I mean, take Uber. They use Azure's Face API, which is part of the Vision services, to make sure the driver signing in is actually the right person. It's a real-world use of AI that makes the whole platform safer for everyone and helps stop fraud in its tracks.
So we've gone from the interfaces to the core services and even into the world of AI. Let's bring it all back home. Being great in the cloud really just comes back to that first idea of the toolkit. It's all about knowing your tools and always picking the right one for the job at hand.
So here's your cheat sheet. It's pretty simple. If you're just poking around, exploring, or doing a one-time thing, the visual portal is your best friend. If you've got a handful of tasks you do all the time, automating them with the command line is the way to go. But when you're building serious production-level stuff that has to be perfect and consistent every time, it's infrastructure as code, no question. That's the professional standard. A real pro knows when to use each one.
And that kind of leaves us with one last thing to think about. We've talked about managing the cloud with a click, a command, or with code. But as AI gets smarter and starts automating more and more of this stuff for us, what do you think our most important tool is going to be in the future? Will we still be clicking and coding, or is something else on the horizon? It's an exciting time to be building in the cloud, that's for sure. Thanks for joining me.